This week, Scotland goes to the polls in an election that could have profound consequences for the whole of the United Kingdom. For the result will decide not just who runs Scotland, but whether the prospect of a second independence referendum will return to the forefront of our national politics once more. And the leaders of Scotland's three biggest parties know this moment matters. A vote for the SNP in this election is a vote for independence, isn't it?
A vote for the SNP in this election is firstly a vote for experienced leadership to get us through COVID. And yes, then after the pandemic, it's a vote to give people the choice of independence.
An enticement for nationalists, for unionists, danger.
We know the threat of holding another independence referendum if the SNP win a majority. Now, Scottish Conservatives stopped them getting that majority in 2016. 5 years ago at that election, we more than doubled the number of MSPs.
But if they do win a majority, it's a game changer then, isn't it? Scottish Labour too understand what's at stake in this election.
You're asking me about the game changer. I'm telling you what a game changer is.
But I'm asking you a very basic question, which is, if Nicola Sturgeon campaigns on having a second referendum and they win a majority, she's got a mandate to do it.
Look, it's her job to argue her own mandate. My job is to argue for what I believe. I don't believe independence or a referendum is the right thing for Scotland coming through this pandemic.
Do you accept the principle that it is for the people of Scotland to decide that?
Look, of course I accept the principle that it's for the people of Scotland to decide their future, and that's why they're voting in this election campaign.
But when it comes to independence, Conservatives say the decision's already been made. Do you accept the principle that it's right for the Scottish people to decide that?
Well, the Scottish people did decide that, of course, back in 2014. We were told then by Nicola Sturgeon and the SNP that referendum was the gold standard of referendums. They would abide by the result of the people of Scotland. More than 2 million Scots, 55%, said they wanted to remain part of the United Kingdom.
More than 1.6 million wanted to remain in the EU too.
Now, I think most polls would tell us the majority position in Scotland. And of course, the other point here is that things changed pretty dramatically after 2014. The Brexit referendum, whereby Scotland has been taken out of the EU against our will, really changed fundamentally the nature of the UK.
The Conservatives were the difficult position to defend.
More than 1 million people in Scotland did vote to leave the European Union, and when we voted in 2016, we knew it was part of a UK franchise.
62% of Scottish people wanted to remain in the European Union. Do you not think that Nicola Sturgeon and the SNP have an argument to say that Scottish people are not being represented?
We knew in 2016 the votes taken in Scotland, England, Wales and Northern Ireland would be combined together for a UK result, whether to leave or stay in the EU.
Brexit has given a second independence referendum impetus. While an SNP majority doesn't guarantee independence, it does guarantee a fight.
If we win the elections, then we will bring forward the legislation. And if Boris Johnson wants to challenge that legally, which is what he would have to do, then we will rigorously and vigorously defend the position against that challenge. No Prime Minister is immune to democracy, even Boris Johnson.
If it does happen, how does the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom try and stop a second referendum? Do you just say we're not doing it?
Well,
it's really hard to do that,
I don't think you would expect me to concede an election before the votes have been cast, before they've been counted, and before we've seen an opportunity, again, as we did in 2016, for the Scottish Conservatives to stop that SNP majority. We can then focus on the other issues.
You're not going to be able to stop it, though, are you?
But people said that back in 2016.
So to avoid a referendum, unionists must stop an SNP majority. Polling suggests that's near impossible. Isn't it wishful thinking to think that Nicola Sturgeon is not going to win a majority?
No, not at all. I don't think anything is inevitable in this contest. I know other politicians might want to think it's inevitable. I'm not as arrogant as that to suggest that if something's inevitable.
But Nicola Sturgeon is focused on another outcome.
I'm fighting an election campaign to win, respectfully, and I take nothing for granted. There's not an ounce of complacency on my part, but the polls suggest that the SNP right now is on track to win.
After the 2014 independence referendum, both unionists and nationalists agreed that the matter had been settled for a generation. But then came Brexit and the decision to take the UK out of the EU against the wishes of 62% of Scots turbocharged the issue once again. And no matter what unionists might say about now not being the time, if Nicola Sturgeon wins an outright majority in the elections this week, she will be able to claim a democratic mandate for that second independence referendum. It would be a disastrous setback for unionists, and it would pose the most profound problem too for Boris Johnson's premiership: how to prevent the breakup of a 300-year-old union on his watch. This then an election as important in Westminster as it is in Glasgow. The future of the union is set to dominate and unsettle our politics for years to come. Beth Rigby, Sky News.
And on your screen now you can see the list of parties and their leaders or lead candidates standing across Scotland at the elections this Thursday. More details about your constituency and the candidates standing can also be found on your local council webpage.